Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. So, today we are going to make a chicken sandwich. We're going to make a chicken thigh fried chicken sandwich. So, to prepare that, what we're going to do is we're going to start by marinating the chicken thighs. Okay, so because we want to make it a sandwich, we're going to pound them out and then we're going to uh, um, put some uh, holes in them too with a tenderizer. Okay, and this is a new tenderizer that I got. So, well, it's old, but it's new to me. So we're going to start by taking out the chicken thighs and we're going to spread them out and then we're going to pound them out. Okay, and I think I'm actually going to trim off some of this fat. And I'm going to use that fat for something else, okay? So we don't want the fat necessarily in the sandwich, but this fat is good stuff, especially if you render it down. So I'm going to take off the fat and we'll use that a little bit later. So chicken thighs are really good. They have a nice, tasty meat. They're not as uh, intense of a flavor as like a chicken drumstick, which has a much kind of a more rich, meaty, or I don't want to say greasy, but just a very rich flavor. Okay, so we're just trimming these off, and there's going to be some fat left on there. That's fine, but we just want to try and get most of the fat off. And what we're going to do with that fat is I'm going to make it into schmaltz, which is just a fancy word for rendered chicken fat. And this is a really good thing to use for making uh, potatoes, which I have some. So I'm going to use that to fry the potatoes in. And it just gives them a really nice chickeny flavor is really what it is. Okay, so don't ever throw this away. Even if you don't want to eat it, you can give it to your pets. Let me tell you, I don't know if the video camera can show it, but or if you could see it from the camera, but these pets are um, they're very attentive to what I'm doing. So they both love chicken, which is really funny. Okay, so we're gonna keep trimming that. And then once we trim it all, then what we're gonna do is we're going to pound them out so that they are all even in thickness. And then we're going to marinate them. Okay. And and of course, we're going to use the roller to uh, cut off some of or to make channels for the the marinade to go in. And this marinade, it's just going to be buttermilk. Okay. So it's going to be a really simple marinade of buttermilk. And that is a great thing for chicken because it tenderizes the chicken. Now, that's not so necessary for a chicken thigh, but for breast It's very effective at marinating and kind of giving uh, a nice texture to the meat. Um, so that's a very good technique if you are making anything with chicken. Buttermilk is a great marinade. When I do my rotisserie chicken that I talked about, um, you'll see that I marinate that in buttermilk as well, and that really makes for a nice chicken. So um, my technique for that is kind of a combination of Julia Child and also uh, like a buttermilk marinade. So it creates a really nice flavor for the chicken, but it also creates a really nice um, tenderness and texture. Okay, so we're just gonna, and these are already pretty uniform thickness, so they don't need a lot, but just the one part we want to kind of knock down a little bit. Okay, if there's just any sections that are a little bit thicker than the others, you just give them a little whack. Okay, and we're gonna make a marinade of, well, we're going to use buttermilk, but we're going to kind of go with what buttermilk is really well known for, which is ranch. So we're going to make a homemade ranch sauce for this, and then we're also going to use like ranch seasoning, which you can make your own, but the one for like Hidden Valley Ranch is actually really good because it's very salty, so you don't need to add salt into your marinade if you use that one. And I don't really like jarred Hidden Valley Ranch, but the powder is actually a really good seasoning. Now, you can make your own. All it is dill, garlic, parsley, salt, pepper, and if you can find buttermilk powder, buttermilk powder. Okay, so that's how you could just make your own if you really want to, but it's a pretty good um, supermarket shortcut. And we're going to use a lot of supermarket shortcuts here, which is not typically the way I do things, but I just have a bunch of kind of good stuff. We're for the coating, we're going to use Sylvia's um, coating, which I got at a grocery outlet, and that's what we're going to use. Okay, so I'm going to take this, put this in the sink. Just kind of another little, oh boy, I'm at a loss for words today. That's not like me. Just another little point of difference when people are making chicken. They People often will wash their chicken. Sometimes I wash it, sometimes I don't. Most people that do or don't, they're very religious about it. For me, it's just kind of a feeling of what needs to be done. So if I feel like the chicken could use a little washing, I wash it. If not, then I don't. Okay, and this one didn't. Okay, so here's our little tenderizer, And it's just kind of a wheel with some knives in it, okay? Like it's got kind of like, looks like a saw blade, okay? And you just kind of run it over the meat. These are a little slippery, so you kind of have to hold it. And then that's it, okay? And then we're going to just throw it in the bag here. And we're going to continue with the meat until it's all done. And then I'm just going to put some buttermilk in there, okay? And the buttermilk is just kind of there to tenderize the meat. It does give it a nice flavor. And the buttermilk, we're actually going to usually wash off the marinade. We're going to use that marinade. We're just going to use the buttermilk because when you make fried chicken, like in this case, which we're not making actual fried chicken, but we're making like a fried chicken kind of cutlet. We're gonna use that as our base for our coating. Okay, so then we'll put on our Sylvias and use that. Okay, so we're just about halfway done with these. And this thing, I don't know. It's working okay. It's just, I think it might be better with like a more firm meat, like a chicken breast, because these are just, it's kind of struggling with them, just to kind of get through them. But it's getting the job done. I prefer my jacquard one with all the, which you saw before. We did that where we showed that when we did our pork cutlets and our chicken tender or chicken cutlets. So, you know, this chicken thighs, they have, especially when they're raw, they have a very strange texture. Like on the one side, like the back side, it's got a very nice soft. But then on the front side, it's got kind of this like, I guess kind of like a membrane. It's just, that's what kind of keeps the meat together. So it's got kind of a strange texture because it's used more. You know, this is a muscle that in the chicken that's used more. So it gets a lot more of a workout than the breasts do. Okay. And I know I've said this before, but I think it's really important for you to know, especially if you eat meat, to know where meat comes from, to try and buy, well, this is my own personal thing. You know, we're all in different economic states, and I don't always adhere to this, but I try and get the most quality meat that I can and the most humanely or locally raised meat that I can, because you're eating an animal and it's given its life and it should be treated with the utmost respect. So that's just my opinion. Okay, so I'm kind of rubbing this marinade in. We're going to put it in the refrigerator here, and then we'll come back later once it's had some time to marinate. Okay, As for fat here, I'm going to put that in a little pot. Let's see. Like a little sauce pot. And what you do to render this is you just want to keep it at the lowest setting you possibly can, because that will allow, it's very hard to get just the fat. So there are some pieces of meat here that will kind of cook off as the fat renders out. And you just keep it at the lowest temperature you possibly can on your stove, and then you work from there. Okay? And that's that. All right. See you soon, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. We are back and we are ready to make our chicken. So I'm going to take out the chicken fat. I'm going to take out the chicken that's been marinating. I'm going to take out the buttermilk. And I'm going to take out some mayonnaise because we're going to do all manner of things. Okay? So I'm going to first start by putting the chicken fat on the stove. And I am going to turn this down to the lowest. It's just going to sit there and work its magic. Okay? I'm going to put my KitchenAid, or my Sunbeam Oster. I have a really funny story about this. I was watching this chef from France. His name's Pierre Frenet. I was watching an old show by him, and he had this and brought it to France. And this French chef that he was working with in that episode was in love with this device. And the funny part for me is that this is actually made in France. So I don't know why it's not available, or it wasn't available in France, because it's pretty old, but it just made me chuckle. But maybe that's my nerdy kitchen collection sense of humor that found that funny. Okay, so I'm putting a shallot in here and a clove of garlic. And I'm just gonna mince it up. And then I'm going to build the rest of the dressing. So this is a homemade buttermilk ranch. So I'm going to put in some of this, I love this French sea salt. So I'm going to put that in. I'm going to put in some onion powder here. Okay. Just like a half a teaspoon. I'm going to put in what's left of my chives, which is not very much, but I wish I had more. I thought I had more. I don't know where my spices are, but I don't have any more chives. I'm going to put some parsley in there, and if you have fresh herbs, that's so much better. It really is. Some dill. This is the real ranch flavor, is the dill. And then I'm going to put in the liquids. So it's going to be 1 cup of buttermilk. And I'm starting with this because I'm going to use the buttermilk with my frying. And I'm going to use this for the mayonnaise. Okay? And we're just going to kind of combine it together. That's all we're going to do there. Is just combine this mayonnaise and this buttermilk with these herbs. And then we're going to set this aside because this really needs to kind of marinate. The longer it sits, the tastier it will get because all of those flavors will meld together. And it will make a really tasty dressing. And you can obviously use this on salad, but we're actually going to use it on our sandwiches, okay? So that's going to be that. I'm going to put that aside, put that back in. I'm going to just scoop this last little bit, and this will make us up to a cup. And this little food processor here, this little toaster, is very powerful. So we are just going to combine this together. That's good. Man, I wish I had, somewhere I have a little lid for this this container, like a little Tupperware lid that will allow for the dressing to be stored in this container. I don't have it. It's probably in the shed somewhere. I'm in so much transition here with things, trying to get organized. So, but that would be really good because then I could have just stored it in there. But that's fine. So we're gonna take this and the mayonnaise and put that into the refrigerator. I'm gonna leave out this because I'm gonna need this with my making of the oh my goodness, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need it with my breading of the of the chicken. Okay, so that's what we're gonna work on next. Okay, just gonna clear out this stuff. It's so much easier to kind of clean as you go. It just makes things a lot better and easier. All right, so we're just gonna clear off this. Give it a little cleaning. You could probably hear the chicken schmaltz forming over in the other stove. Okay. Take this, put this into the refrigerator, put the mayonnaise back in there, check on our chicken here, and I'm going to use a slotted spoon because we're going to get out the solids, but right now we're just trying to render out the fat. And I am literally, this is on the lowest setting I possibly can. It's just going to sit there and render, and hopefully we'll get that all done. And then the pets will have a nice little treat to eat. Okay, so on to the chicken. Okay, so we're going to use a vintage appliance here. This is a Dormeyer, and you'll see the control is on the bottom here, and it has one thing that's great about these is it always tells you what temperature to do things at. So for fried chicken, it says 375, which is one of the highest settings. Dormeyer was from Chicago, just like Sunbeam and what else? There was quite a few from Chicago. It was a cooking capital. We talked about Echo in our last video. So we're going to fry this in peanut oil. And I'm a big believer that you use the oil that is relevant to the area that it's from. So fried chicken is obviously all over the place, but it's really well known in the South. And the South is big on peanuts. A lot of the fried chicken places that use that make fried chicken, like what's it called, Chick-fil-A. They fry in peanut oil. So peanut oil is a good oil to use when frying chicken. It's a high heat oil, so it's just generally a good deep frying oil. Okay, so I told you, supermarket shortcut. We're going to use Sylvia's crispy fried chicken. Oh, and I love this little quote here. It'll make the Colonel cry. You go, Sylvia. I love that. So this is, with that, it's kind of a KFC type seasoned flour. And, you can make your own, but this one I had, and it looks good, and it smells really good. It's got a lot of nice flavors. So just give me 1 second. I'm going to get some trays here. I told you before about these great stainless steel trays. I'm actually going to preheat this oil, so that's going. And then I'm going to set up my dredging station here. And we're going to put a little bit of buttermilk in here because I'm going to double double bread them. Okay, so we're going to start here with our marinated chicken, and we're just going to leave the buttermilk on. That'll be our base coat. So something else cool about Dormeyer. My grandfather loved Dormeyer appliances. This is his house, him and my grandmother's. And he loved that. And what's interesting is he actually worked for a Philadelphia appliance company called Procter, which became Procter Silex, but when he worked there it was called Procter Schwartz. And they made toasters, coffee pots, and things like that. Those were their big lines. But he really loved Dormeyer. So it's appropriate that we're using a Dormeyer appliance today for him. He did not like fried chicken very much. was not one of his favorite things. I remember I got them when I was living with them. I got them Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and they were not impressed, and they were not really interested in that. But I love them very much. It's nice to live in their house and to have that connection. It was also nice because I used to live with them here when I was first starting out before I had a house. I worked in Philadelphia, so it was much closer than living at my parents' house. So I would live here on the weekend or the weekdays, and it was a nice experience to have that. My grandfather drove me to my very first, when I got my first job, teaching at Little Flower, which was an all-girls, it still is, an all-girls high school. And he was there to support me and waited in the car while I interviewed and got that job. Okay, so another cute story. My grandmother, when I finally did have my house, she was crying and saying, "You don't have to go. You can stay here." I'm like, "Grandma, I bought this house. I've been working on it for years." I was like, "I need to move into my house," and she's like, "You could go there on the weekends." So I think they really enjoyed having me here, but it all worked out because my brother then moved in pretty shortly after that. So they always kind of had one of us here with them, which was great because they were great people. They are great people, but it was hard for them as they got older. And then eventually they moved up with my parents, and then my brother moved in. Okay, so I'm going to keep breading these last couple pieces. And these are Volrath pans, like actually baking pans, but I think I'm going to just keep going. I'm not going to double dredge because I think that's actually working against me. So I'm just going to keep dredging just the one. So this Dormeyer electric skillet is really beautiful. The lid it's a two-tone pan. So the lid of it is anodized with a copper tone, and then the bottom is like a polished aluminum. So it's just this really, really stylish piece of equipment. And anodized aluminum, that was really exciting to the consumers of like the 50s and 60s because it allowed people to have color choices. And you didn't really have choices of anything, let alone color, before the 50s. And then with the post-war era, we really were able to kind of have a lot of choice, and everyone was making unique things. There was unique design, and it was great. It was a great time for consumer products, and that went all the way up to the 50s, or I'm sorry, to the 70s and even the 80s, and then it just kind of started trailing off. Okay, so I'm rinsing off my tongs here so that I could get a better grip on my chicken. In there, and I really want to get them nice and clean. I'm also going to dry them very, 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 very well, because we do not want any liquid. I'm going to get another tray for the finished one. We do not want any liquid in this skillet, okay? Because, oh yeah, all right, we are getting a lot of great fat coming off of this chicken here. So we're getting a nice amount of schmaltz rendered out from here. And the pets are looking around, and they know that they got some goodies coming their way, so we're just gonna keep letting this do its thing, okay? And these are like little cracklings. You can eat them. I would eat them, but I want to give the pets a little treat. So I will give them that. Okay. So we're going to flip our chicken here. And you want to kind of loosen it a little bit first. It does tend to stick a little bit on the bottom. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to use my fish spatula here, and I'm just going to loosen it so we keep the breading intact. Okay, so if that ever happens, these fish spatulas are really good tools to have because they have a very sharp edge, and they will allow you to kind of free up the chicken so that it can get turned, okay? And this chicken's almost done. The other thing I love about frying, besides the consistent temperature, I really love that you can contain the grease-laden air. So you don't get your kitchen all dirty with greasy frying that you would if you were doing it on a regular pan on the stove. Okay, so it just contains the mess. If you could do this outside, it's not too bad out, but I don't feel like going outside. If you could fry outside, that's even better, because then you really don't have any sort of grease-laden air in your house. Okay? So these are coming along mighty good. Okay. And the nice thing about using thighs as opposed to your breast, which you might normally use, the thighs really can take the heat. They don't dry out, they don't get dirty or dried out or anything like that. They really just maintain their good moisture regardless of how much heat. So you really, really almost can't overcook them. I'm sure if you left them in for too long, you could, but they can take the heat. And because we're using the electric skillet, the temperature maintains the thermostatic control so you don't get any burn. Okay, so we're going to take these out because they are done. Okay, all right, we're losing our breading here a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, for this last one, I'm going to use my fish spatula and put that on there. And then all these little bits that are there, I'm going to take up so that when we put our second, sorry, poor Roxy. For that second batch of frying, we won't have this sticking, okay? So we'll just take that out, and that will be just kind of some crispy bits that we can add to our sandwich if we want, or give to the dog. Probably not good to give to the dogs. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're keeping the oil clean, keeping the bottom clean. Okay, so that you don't have more sticking. Okay, so I'm going to actually try with this batch. I'm going to try and use the spatula, okay? I'm going to try and move it around a little bit so it gets a little oil under it, so hopefully we avoid that stickage. Okay, and notice when I'm putting in the chicken, I'm pushing it away from me. Okay, that way if there's any splattering, it's going away from me, not towards me. Okay, so this is kind of the opposite of what you do when you are like grilling meat or cooking meat in a pan. You want to kind of free up the meat around the oil, so you want to kind of make sure it's free. While as when you're cooking like a steak or something, you want to kind of establish a crust, a caramelization on there. Okay, so we're gonna just put that there, put the lid on. Again, we're gonna rinse off our spatula here and make sure that it is dry, so when we put in this, we will have a nice texture. Okay, so I cut one in half here so you can see it is very nice and tender. It's well done. It's going to make a great sandwich. Okay. You could definitely make like a hot sauce mayonnaise for this. You can make a little bit more of different, literally anything can go with this. So it's really, I'm going to leave this lid off too, just so that we can get a little bit of crust on it. I think sometimes when the lid is on there, you can see there's condensation. So sometimes that's the one bad thing about this one. It doesn't have a vented lid. A lot of them have a vented lid, so you can, kind of release this steam and make sure that you're frying. So we're just going to kind of leave it sideways like that. Okay. And we're going to check on our chicken here. I'm going to get a little bowl here so that you can see how much schmaltz we got. So and I think this will actually give us more schmaltz too. Okay, so that's a good amount. And this is a really, anytime you're making things with chicken, so I'm going to use this to make some potatoes that I'm going to eat with the chicken. So anytime you are making things that are chicken related, it just amps up that chicken. And then this is what you have, which is basically chicken bacon. Okay, so we're gonna leave that in there and see if we could render out some more fat. And then we're gonna flip our chicken here. Use okay, see, so much better. Okay, our chicken breading stayed on more here because we kind of loosened it up. Okay, that's beautiful. And we just want to do the same thing, make sure it's free to move around. Like that. And there we go. Okay. So this is, this is a nice, it's a nice lunch that I'll be having. And again, I'm just gonna free up this chicken. And now they do, especially now, if you get a new electric skillet, they're all non-stick. Like, it's impossible to find like a natural one. So that might be good for doing this, because then you would have, a little bit of freedom to make sure that your chicken breading doesn't stick. I prefer the natural. I prefer not having the non-stick. It scratches, it wears out, and I don't think it's really necessary. But it will make that scraping part not necessary because it won't stick to that. Okay, so I made another layer here of paper towel, and when these are done, I'm gonna put them on there. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of push this out. I think we are at capacity. So to make the sandwich, I'm going to take a roll that I have, and I'm going to put that in the refrigerator or the oven. And I'm going to cut it in half. Okay. And this one's actually pretty good. I'm going to put it on a rack here in the oven, and I'm going to just toast it so it gets a little bit nicer. All right, I'm going to take out the little pieces here that I have. Use our little spatula. Make sure these are free. See, that's why you do it away from you, in case you get a little splatter. That's one of the scary things about slime. You know, the food has moisture in it. Oil and moisture create problems, so you just never know. I mean, you know for the most part, but you don't ever know there's never a full way to make sure that, you know, it's not going to splatter. So you always have to be very careful. I really wish I had worn an apron that would have protected my clothing, but so far so good. If you do ever get some oil on it, this is a great preset stain remover. Go on Power Wash. That stuff is great. It's worth every penny, and it lasts. It does so many different things. Okay. So we're just going to let this go a little bit longer, and then we're going to finish up and create our salmon. Give it a little turn. Oh, these are beautiful. And you want to try and get as much oil drained off before you remove it. And then that way you're just dealing with a little bit. I'll leave that one in a little bit longer. Get a little more color on that side. So, and we're going to turn off our electric skillet. And there we go. Okay. So again, you can do this now, and that will help you later on to kind of just clean up your skillet. Okay, so many of these, if I was frying more, I would really do this, but just to clear out some of the little bits. And they make a nice little addition to your sandwich if you want to add them on there, but you don't have to. So we're going to unplug this. And then we're going to take out the cord. And we're going to set this aside because we are done. So I'm going to set this over here. Okay, so this is our chicken. Um, as you can see, we wipe off here. Our chicken is all nicely done. It is tender, it is juicy, it has a nice crisp coating on it. These are the ones that I did half or only one coating. So I would say if you really want a crispy coating, do the double. The double ones are a lot more coated. So the coating is going off. That's the nature of homemade. It's always going to be a little rustic. It's not going to be perfect. You're not dealing with commercial equipment or commercial breading. So it's just part of the rustic nature. Okay? So that's the end of this episode. I'm going to just show you because I don't want you to have to wait for me to make my sandwich. I'm going to put some of my homemade ranch on the top of the bread. I'm going to put the chicken on the bottom, and I think I'm going to use a little habanero jack as my cheese. Okay, so I'll just put a couple little slices of this cheese on there. Cheddar would be good. Even like an American cheese would be delicious. So you just put a couple pieces of cheese on if you like. You could put a pickle. I'll put a pickle on. If you want to do it like that world famous chicken sandwich, you would put like a honey butter on the roll. You would get kind of like a potato roll, honey butter, pickles on the bottom, chicken on the top, and you're set. Okay, so that is my take on a fried chicken sandwich. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you try it. And I will see you for our next episode. And keep your eyes peeled because it's probably going to be today. And it's going to be a Venezuelan specialty called a cachapa, which is a sweet corn crepe that's filled with bacon and cheese. That's the way I'm going to make it. All right, bye, Kitchen Kings and Queens. I'll see you soon.